And so this afternoon, that special committee of the Judicial Service Commission will announce its findings. And I want to take you through the procedure of removing a judge of the Supreme Court. And that is clearly articulated in Kenya Constitution 2010 in Articles 167 and 168. And we'll be covering just some of those areas that are seen in that part of the Constitution in a little bit. But also a judge may resign, and how they go about resignation is writing a letter to the president highlighting the reasons as to why they'd want to do that. But also judges can be removed over inability to perform arising from mental or physical incapacity. So in the event of that happening, and it is found to be the case, then that provides grounds for them to exit the Supreme Court. There's also breach of a code of conduct, bankruptcy, incompetence, and gross misconduct. So these are just some of the criteria, and the threshold must be met and is looked at and considered when there's talk about removing a judge from the Supreme Court. Let's move on along to the next slide and look at the procedure which we are now seeing play out, which is the removal via the JSC, that's the Judicial Service Commission. So what happens is a petitioner or petitioners will write to the JSC setting out his or her case. And we saw that with Geoffrey Kiplagat, who's the petitioner in this particular matter. He's a former journalist with CAS FM. So he wrote to the JSC, and the JSC then considers grounds for removal. And that's pretty much where we are at this particular point. Are there grounds to proceed with this matter? It is what the President of the Supreme Court, Dr. Willie Mutunga, announced when he was setting up this special committee to consider whether in fact the matter should go forward or business should go back to usual if they find indeed there are no grounds that hold water. And then in the event President to suspend the judge, in the event there is a proposal to form a tribunal, within 14 days, then appoint a tribunal. So there is a specific time limit set for that, and that is 14 days cast in stone in the Constitution. So that should happen. He's suspended, and a tribunal is set up. So what does this tribunal look like in terms of composition? You have a chairperson, and there are 3 members that sit in that committee. So all must be serving or have served as Superior Court judges. You also have 1 advocate of 15 years standing, and 2 other persons of experience in public affairs as well. So that's the composition that would see the president consider these people should have this kind of background. Moving on along, after the tribunal is composed, if you could take me to the next slide, please. One of the things that definitely sticks out is following the suspension of a judge in question, then they would go on half their remuneration and benefits. So whether it's salary, all the other allowances and benefits, those are slashed in half up until that process is completed. And there's one more slide here for us. In terms of the tribunal, it recommends its recommendations are binding to the president. So once it completes its work, which it should do so expeditiously, they submit the same to the president. At that particular point, the president is then to announce what those findings are. He cannot alter, have his own recommendations or the other. So it's binding. Judges are allowed to appeal the tribunal verdict. So the tribunal is not quite the final say. If the aggrieved judge following the finding of the tribunal does not agree, there's still legal recourse for them. They can go to the Supreme Court. That is where their final recourse is. So that appeal, however, must be filed within 10 days after the tribunal has issued its report. So that's how this looks like. This could be the way it goes, but we don't know. It could end today if in fact that committee comes out and says there is no grounds to warrant further investigation or formation of our tribunal. Michelle Ngele is at the Supreme Court, and we'll shortly be linking up with her for more details. And of course, as soon as the committee is ready to issue their finding, we will cross over there live.